Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers, where we break down the latest and greatest Premier League action. Joining me for a very raw post-match experience to Chelsea's loss to Tottenham Hotspur, it's Zachary Jalab. I would ask you how you are, but I think we all know. This has been going on now for at least the last month. This might be the third thumbnail in succession on Winners and Losers where you feature, slightly off to the right, looking miserable. We've got Graham Potter looking downtrodden on the left with some horrible statistic underneath. But there we have it. The narrative remains the same. Chelsea are still absolutely pants. Okay, so this game, Zachary, of course, the follow-up to the blockbuster 2-2 at the start of the season, which featured the infamous handshake. Sadly, did not deliver the same level of entertainment, did it? 0.7 to 0.4 on XG in Spurs' favour, with 18 shots in total featuring in this 6 minutes. Chelsea actually came to the game unbeaten against Tottenham in the last 8 fixtures.
I know.
But this was a case of the form books trumping the history books. So let's do a winner and loser from each game, because that's kind of what we're here for. Let's start with some Spurs praise.
Yeah, I mean,
who stood out for you in this game?
I really didn't think the game was that great. I thought the first half was
dreadful,
atrocious. Second half was definitely better. If we're going to praise, look, I thought Spurs' press was really good. I thought Harry Kane just was phenomenal when he kind of had the ball and just the way he just drops in, and it works. Sometimes I think it's weird because sometimes people will complain about Harry Kane dropping in and not being in the right positions when obviously they're not scoring goals, Spurs. But in this instance, it worked out because Spurs managed to put the ball into the back of the net. He was really good. I think credit to Ollie Skipp. I thought he had a decent game. He was really pressing hard, along with, to be honest, the whole of the front three for Spurs. In Richarlison and Kulusevski. I know it may have not been a game that had lots and lots of chances and lots of chances created, but I thought Spurs just put, in the second half in particular, Spurs put Chelsea under a lot of pressure. I remember one moment where Chilwell gets the ball down that left side and he has no options and has to just kick it out of play. And you can see him visibly angry at his teammates kind of not helping him out there. And that's due to Spurs' credit. They pressed really, really well. I think what I find frustrating is to look at that game and go, look, it's kind of a pot shot from Skipp, which arguably could have been saved.
Arguably, and then generous,
and then a really poor defended corner that has cost Chelsea the game. Well, not even cost them the game, they score a goal, but gave Chelsea no chance of
winning whatsoever.
Winning whatsoever. I mean, Chelsea themselves were poor, but look, in terms of credit to players, I think Ollie Skipp did really well. I think Harry Kane did phenomenally. I think the pressing was fantastic. And you know what? I guess the back line of Spurs, they basically limited Chelsea defence in an attacking chance as well.
Yeah, well, let me just supplement a few of those hunches with some stats. That's what we like to do on this show, isn't it? Oliver Skipp, his first goal for Tottenham in the Premier League. Congratulations, sir. A great shift from him in this fixture. Should have been saved, though. It's only the second league goal of his young career. Harry Kane, conversely, very used to putting the ball in the back of the net. He's 18th in just 25 starts in league play this campaign. And it had not been for the freakish Erling Haaland, I'm sure he'd be dominating the conversation in terms of individual accolades, keeping his team, despite some suspect form, in the hunt for Champions League football. I think only 4 points behind Manchester United now. So brilliant stuff from him. And yeah, you're right. Spurs defence does deserve some praise because in the build-up to this, they had been quite porous. In fact, Tottenham had conceded, before this fixture, 25 goals in 14 Premier League fixtures. That's since October 19th. Only Leeds had conceded more in that period of time. But in this game, very rarely looked like conceding. I'm not sure whether that's owing to a much improved defensive performance or a lacklustre attacking performance from Chelsea. But I did want to sound out Emerson Royale because he was getting pelters at the end of last season, pelters at the start of this season, but has put together a really good run of form. And in this fixture, 6 out of 7 tackles won, 3 clearances made, 9 ball recoveries, although he was dribbled past 3 times. But Romero helped out in that regard when that did happen. 10 out of 15 ground duels won, 3 out of 5 aerial duels won. There's some really impressive underlying numbers down there, and I just wanted to make sure that we put some shine on him before we moved on. Right, that's the positives done. Now you can really stick the boot in, Jalab. Chelsea, what bloody happened here, mate?
Mate, I don't know if we're ever going to score a goal again.
Amongst our losers, who's the biggest loser, or what area of the pitch are you most
It's the
disappointed
attack.
with?
Defensively, I'm not
Today.
too concerned about us. Going into this game, we had the same record as Arsenal. We had the same amount of goals conceded as Arsenal, who at times have been praised for their defence. And look, yeah, maybe Kepa can do better with the first one, sure. I actually think he's had a pretty good season personally. And I'm not worried about the defence. My worry slightly is I have no idea how Chelsea are going to score a goal in terms of I can't see a pattern of play where Chelsea are trying to lure defenders in, right, and break their press or try and launch a counter-attack.
Yeah.
Or there's no systematic way of Chelsea or on the pitch that's being shown of Chelsea trying to score a goal at the moment. And look, part of that I guess can be said by so many new players coming in and you know not having time to talk this kind of stuff. I get that does make sense, but I feel by now we would have at least started to see something, like some sort of way that we want to see Chelsea play their football under Graham Potter. And I'm still really struggling to see that. I thought it was a really poor decision not to start Aubameyang. Too many times over the past couple of games for Chelsea, I think I've personally sat there and gone, you know what, Chelsea are really missing out on having a focal point at the top. And while Kai Havertz can have great games and can have or can be praised for his ability to kind of drop in and pick up the ball and have somebody else kind of fill that role, Chelsea have too many of those players right now that want the ball to feet, that want to be dropping in. Hakim Ziyech, Mason Mount, João Felix, Les Mudryk, Noni Madueke. There's so many players that want the ball to feet. And so when you then have Kai Havertz dropping out of his position to try and collect the ball down further, and that's just the way he's played his football his whole career. He's not a striker. And I thought, okay, this would be a good game to maybe have Aubameyang. It's a shame that Brozier got that long-term injury because I think he would have been seeing a lot of minutes at the moment.
Yeah, made it pretty low risk deploying that high line. Penning you in, didn't it? And it meant that Enzo Fernandez, who completed 13 long balls, by the way, was sort of forced to be speculative in build-up. We saw a lot of raking crossfield balls. He was looking for Ziyech, looking for Sterling, who he found an awful lot of the time, and ultimately they should have done better in those wider positions. I thought your build-up was okay until you got to their box, and then, like
that's
you said,
what it's been all
lacked
season.
movement, lacked numbers in there, and ultimately, yeah, they managed to manage you out of the game in that regard. Now looking ahead against Leeds this coming Saturday, how do you tinker or change with that starting XI, if at all? Because one of the things that we were talking about immediately after the game had finished was just how often Graham Potter was having to change his starting 11. So he's averaging 4.3 changes per game to his starting XI at the moment, and not having an optimum XI out in the field is clearly taking its toll because there's so much talent on there, Zach, but so little chemistry.
Yeah, I think you can see that. I think I will say and caveat it, part of that has been due to injuries. I mean, we saw Thiago Silva come off as well against Spurs. Hopefully, God hope, that isn't a long-term one. I'd like to see Aubameyang play through the middle. I just think we need that kind of focal point for it's tough because I've seen Aubameyang play through the middle and have some really bad games for Chelsea as well. And then you see people sitting there going, okay, bring Kai Havertz back on. I do agree. I think there needs to be some consistency. Like the whole Ziyech thing is baffling to me. We sat here a month ago and were saying Ziyech is off to PSG. There was an acceptance that he was off to PSG. That's fair enough. And then February the 1st comes and we get to where we are now, the 26th of February, and I think he started like 3 out of 4 games in the Premier League since then, which is nuts to think of a player that was meant to be going to PSG and not part of the plans for the rest of the season, right? So I would have Aubameyang versus Leeds. I mean, God hope that N'Golo Kante is not too far away now. I saw obviously he was training. I don't think he'll be back though for another month or so, and so maybe like a Kovacic back in midfield with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. But that's already 2 changes that I'm making here. I'd probably then go and get Madueke on the right wing over someone like Hakim Ziyech, just because I don't know. I thought Ziyech was really,
Mate,
really poor.
It's no surprise you've gone straight to the attack in terms of what would you change.
Oh, I wouldn't change. Honestly, I wouldn't change the defence.
Because, I mean, in the last 14 games in all competitions, only Kai Havertz has more than one goal, and the top goal scorer in Chelsea games since November 6th is Riyad Mahrez, who's been battering you. That is really damning, isn't it? But like you said, it's not just a matter of sticking the ball into the net. It is that alchemy, that chemistry of your forward line, and it is really off. So Madueke, Aubameyang.
So I'm kind of of the ilk now to be like, you know what, where we are in this season, it now needs to just be about finding consistency and developing players, right? Like, it seems as if Ziyech is going to be off in the summer. So what is the point personally in giving him these minutes, which can then be given to someone like Madueke?
You're going long term already.
100%, 100%. Look, I've said numerous times on this on Football Daily, and I'm sure people at home won't be happy to hear this. I'm very much
because we did say initially, after all that spend, anything other than Champions League football would be deemed a failure. But now,
I think it still would be deemed a failure.
He's saying
but I think you've got to
we need to embrace a new level of realism.
Yeah, you've got to take it on the chin. You've got to take it on the chin and think, okay, if we can't get Champions League football this year, let's put ourselves in the best possibility to get it next season. And why not get these guys some minutes? And why not get Mudryk used to the league? Why not get whatever youngster that I'm thinking of used to the league? And I was just going to say, like, I'm sure there's plenty of people at home that we're talking about how, you know, the first solution is sacking Graham Potter or whatever. It's not something that I personally would be doing. I think probably
or you think it's going to happen.
All that I think is going to happen 100%. I remember saying after the Southampton one, if he wasn't to have gone then, I think he's very much got the season. And just about kind of putting his footprint on the game. I want to come away from a game soon and going, you know what? I'm starting to see it. And there were little inklings of, like, there were those couple chances where it's like quick 1, 2, 3 passes that would get him in. Kai Havertz had an opportunity, great goalkeeping from Forster to come out and claim it. And that was like the one moment personally I can think of. So I want to see a few more of that kind of stuff. And
I would say though, like,
developing.
A lot of the games prior to this, I felt more definitely. Like that than this game. I think in 5 of the 6 games coming into this, you actually edged your opposition when it came to expected goals. So there was an element of Graham Potter's been really unlucky here, a narrative, a well-trodden narrative. But in this game, this is one of the worst / most dysfunctional I've seen your attacks in a long time. But yeah, anything else you want to say, or should we wrap this up? Chest. Because Celtic and Rangers are kicking back off soon, and I do want to watch it. And I don't really care about this game. Long live Graham Potter, though. What we're saying?
I think, again, look, I'm personally of the belief. Look, considering the whole situation, he's on a 5-year deal. It would cost so much money to kind of get rid of him. I think he is somebody who. I think he needs to have maybe a look at what's happening at the moment and obviously make the change that needs to be done and go from there. I mean, I'd like to hear quickly your thought on keeping Graham Potter, right? Yeah,
I 100% would keep him. Like you said, I think at this point it would be very counterproductive to bring in a new manager, start a new product, given the high turnover of players, given the fact he didn't have a pre-season. There's lots of caveats, isn't there, that we've gone over extensively before, and also there's a real dearth of elite level managers available at this point. Like, if you sack Graham Potter, who do you go for? A lot of people are sort of pining for the days of Tuchel. You're not going to bring Tuchel back in.
The only other one I see is Luis Enrique, and it's like,
and I don't know why people are talking about him so bullishly, as in he comes in and arrests the form and does whatever. But that's now 1 goal in 83 shots. That's 83 shots, 2 wins from just the last 15 Premier League games. They're obviously home wins against Palace and Bournemouth. It is really, really, really ugly. That's not what we're saying. But you've just got to believe that the juice is going to be worth the squeeze.
This is it. I think that's the thing. It's the long-term thing for me. It's the long-term thing. I can take a season.
I like how we've gone from talking to each other now to sort of like defending Potter in the public realm and like talking down the lens.
100%. Because I think that's also the football Twitter view, right? That's the very view, like the people that are bantering, all that kind of stuff. I see it. I was seeing it online as well. People kind of just absolutely going for him. I think maybe there's a little bit of an element of the players need to cheer themselves up a little bit and go for these kind of games. It only really felt until Mount was on the pitch that somebody kind of realised, this is a London derby. This is Tottenham Hotspur here. But I don't know. I guess we should probably touch upon as well, finally, very, very quickly, the red card. Or red card that then got VAR'd into a yellow. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I thought the ref probably approached it correctly. It just took far too long to execute, didn't it? And yeah, Emerson Royale should be a bit embarrassed with his conduct, to be perfectly frank. Rolling around on the floor after someone's hand has sort of slipped up your shoulder onto your face. Just get a grip, I would say. And we need to get a grip of this episode because we've been chatting for quite some time now. So let us know how you would fix Chelsea in the short term. What changes would you make approaching the Leeds game for Saturday? Let us know in the comments below. And Zach will hit you back up. It's going to be like
through tears,
group therapy in the comments with Zach Gelab. So Chelsea fans, hit us up and we'll let you know our thoughts. Keen to hear yours, like we said. Like this video, subscribe to the channel with notifications on, and we'll catch you for a post-match reaction for the EFL Cup final a little bit later, which I'll miss the start of because I'll be watching Celtic vs Rangers. Come on.